Ahoy toy, welcome to Transfixed, the channel that knows size does matter. And God, I hate that phrase. Anyway, I want to talk to you today about Legends scale Transformers, and is it a viable option for collecting? The reason I am wondering that is because they've been really improving over time. Now we have these little, almost mini masterpiece Legends coming out. And with space being at a premium for a lot of us, I just don't know if I have a room to collect all these giant masterpiece Transformers. I mean, some people want them. Some people want even larger scale Transformers. But, I mean, this is my collection right now. And this is just the Season 1 and 2 Autobots. And I had to spread them onto 3 shelves because it was getting so cluttered. It looked terrible. And then I've got a whole shelf for Minibots down here. And then Dinobots take up... I mean, they barely fit on this shelf. And that's 24 inches wide. So more and more, I'm thinking about the Legends scale. Now, this video is going to be very comparison heavy because the scale is what we're really talking about here with the Legends stuff. Now, it wasn't really a viable option when it was just Hasbro doing it. And by the way, I'm going to use this little Acid Storm as my benchmark figure for Legends scale. You can also use this Outback figure. But like I said, we're getting some mini masterpieces now that are coming out. Especially from the likes of Magic Square, New Age, and I suppose DX9 as well. And it's just getting really good. And the most recent one I picked up was this Grimlock, which is actually a knockoff of the DX9 War and Pocket version. This is an original DX9 War and Pocket. These should be about the same size, but this is the DX9 size. And then mechfanstoys has been knocking it off and upscaling it. This earlier came in a shiny... like a metallic version for the toy, and this is the cartoon version. And actually, he's supposed to have this clear piece on here. The original had a yellow piece here as well, but they remolded this piece for the mechfanstoys. I took it off because I just wanted it to be more cartoon accurate. The one thing, by the way, that really bugs me about Grimlock is that nobody ever gets his shoulders right. In the cartoon and the comics, he's supposed to have his shoulders just at shoulder height. This should be a straight line across here. His shoulders are always too high, especially on the masterpiece. I did a video where I showed how to lower them, but it's not perfect. So anyway, that's how I have him displayed. But yeah, he's actually upsized, and I don't really like that. I don't want my Legends scale to be large. In fact, this is the G1, and if I were to transform him, he'd be roughly the same size. But it is a great figure, though. I really like that they... gave him the cartoon colors. He's still got the blue visor. This is silver instead of red translucent like it was on the original here. For comparison, you can see the shiny paint. It's also a better tolerance figure too. One thing I really didn't like about the DX9 is they were very, very tight. So I'm tempted to get the whole line of these. I didn't know how big this was when I ordered it. That's why I wanted to show it on the video so you can see that the mechfanstoys is a larger toy. And it comes on this very... not very attractive card back. And there are the other ones in the line. And I think I might be getting those. But it's unfortunate that they went with the red swoop instead of the blue swoop. I don't know if they'll be doing another version of that. But with space at a premium, I am tempted to even swap out my whole collection with these guys. They keep getting better. One other challenge, though, is it's tough to know which ones to get. Like I said, what size are you looking for? Because they're all kind of all over the place. Another example of that is these headmasters. Now, it's great for characters like this because I don't care as much for the later characters like the headmasters. So these would be great to have in a Legends scale where they don't need to take up all the shelf space. Even though in the fiction they're larger robots than the original Transformers because of the headmaster... scheme, you know. But these have been upgraded and knocked off as well. These are originally Unique Toys figures, but these are mechfanstoys knockoffs where they've actually done a lot of upgrades. They've added some extra pieces onto the legs of Chrome Dome, for example, extra paint, remolded hood, I believe, extra weapons, and the Weird Wolf here is also made more G1 accurate with the better head and legs, I think. Sorry, I don't have a side-by-side comparison. Oh, the head, of course. This is a very cartoon-accurate head, which was not the case on the original Unique Toys version. So these are a lot better, but they're a little bit larger. Not too large, but there seems to be a trade-off with the size. Not a lot of companies have done the Horicons, but we got them with the... Yeah, Unique Toys. Unique Toys did these. Now, these are triple changers. I think these might be the only triple changers in this scale, and they're great. I really love these. The only other company that has done these so far is KFC, and I don't like them, and they're enormous. I'm hoping Make Toys will follow through and finish theirs, but we'll see. Again, I don't need giant representations of these kind of characters on my shelf. And as far as G1 goes, you can get almost all of the original lineup. By the way, you'll see other comparisons here. I've got a Masterpiece, kind of a typical Masterpiece, and a typical current figure, which is from the Siege line, the Siege Hound back there, which is great. So the main companies doing this right about now are New Age, Magic Square, DX9, and Iron Factory.
I forgot about Papa Toys, and as I was making this video, another one came along called Iron Trans. They just put out pictures of their Datsuns. So they've got Prowl, Smokescreen, and Blue Streak, of course. But I don't think they look as good as the New Age.
I'm not going to talk about Iron Factory too much because they're kind of doing their own thing. They seem to be more IDW, comic inspired, or just doing their own stylized take. This is my only Iron Factory figure. This is a Scorponok, of course, and I like him because I can get Scorponok represented on my shelf without taking up a whole ton of space. So he's great for that. Even though he's a little bit stylized, it's not overboard. And it's a lot cheaper too. I mean, this is only $100, whereas like I think it's Unique Toys has a large scale, like a Masterpiece scale. Well, not Masterpiece scale, but anything larger was $400 or $500, which is just very difficult for most collectors, I think. At least it is. It's hard for me to justify. Now, one of my first ones that got me thinking about this was this from Magic Square. This is their Sideswipe, of course, and it is great. I mean, look at the posability you can get from that. We get a tighter angle on this. I mean, that is just insanely posable. It even has an ab crunch. And I believe there's another company doing a Sideswipe. But this is an impressive Sideswipe. I mean, it does everything that the Masterpiece can do at a fraction of the size and price. These are the DX9 movie Decepticons. Of course, I've got Scourge, Galvatron, and Cyclonus. These are the DX9 ones. mechfanstoys did an upscaled version of these, which are a little bit larger. So again, the scale gets a bit confusing and wonky. This is a mechfanstoys Soundwave, which I think is the best one. But there's also, I think Magic Square is working on a Soundwave. And then for Unique Toys, I forgot to show this one. This is one of the Headmasters. Oh, let me compare. So that's your original scale Unique Toys Headmaster, and then this is the size of the upsized mechfanstoys versions. So, like, this is knocked off of the one that goes along with these guys, but as you can see, he's almost twice as big, but much more toon accurate. There's also a few choices for Bumblebee. That's the mechfanstoys version. It's not great, but it's got a good head sculpt. There's New Age's Flipper, which is smaller than this guy, but I'm not sure if the head sculpt is as good. And then I've got the New Age Harry, which is Prowl, of course, and I love this figure. I really love it. I also love their Cosmos, which is called Max. So far, New Age is definitely my favorite of the Legends Scales third party. I mean, this even comes with a cool little stand, like he's abducting cattle. It's amazing. And then, sorry, back to DX9, you've got the Seekers and the Coneheads, which I don't have. But these are, I don't know, these would fit in with most of the Legends, but not perhaps the larger ones like these. Crikey, I keep finding more of these things. They're coming out of the woodwork. So here I've got the mechfanstoys Ironhide and Ratchet. And just for size comparison with the New Age Harry there. And this is the mechfanstoys. What's his name? Well, he's supposed to be DevCon. And that's just a size comparison with the Scourge from DX9. Because I did mention that they have a mechfanstoys version of this guy as well. It's oversized, so he'd be the same size as this. So you can see the size difference there. And again, back to the question, how viable is a Legends collection? You can get a lot of the characters already. You can even get a Legends class Omega Supreme. You can even get a Legends class Guardian robot repaint of Omega Supreme. So let's go through the line and see if we can have a complete Legends scale collection. So we'll start with the 1984 Autobots. We'll just go right off the catalog. So Brawn, actually there's no third party that looks like the animation model, but we have a pretty good Hasbro and Takara version. Takara would be your best bet for Brawn. For Bumblebee, we've got a Hot Soldiers and New Age Flipper, which is probably your best bet, the New Age one. For Huffer, there's a Magic Square and a mechfanstoys. I would say the Magic Square is smaller, probably a better bet. By the way, this is where we run into an issue with Legends scale, of course, because with your mini bots, they should be smaller than the regular Autobots, but with the Legends scale, they're probably going to be close in size. So whether that's important to you is up to you. Where were we now? Cliffjumper. Cliffjumper, we have a Hot Soldiers rendition of Cliffjumper. You'd think we'd have more representation of Cliffjumper, but he doesn't seem to get a lot of love for some reason or another. Windcharger, nothing for the third party yet. We would have to go with the Hasbro version for that, which is actually a pretty good figure. Gears, there is a Hasbro, but it's sort of the IDW interpretation of that, so I would go with obviously the mechfanstoys, which I was raving about with their swerve in my previous video, the Spial, and I did order the Gears. So what's he called? Rock. So he's on his way. So moving on to the cars, Wheeljack. We've just started to see pictures of a Wheeljack, which is from Toy World. Toy World is now entering the Legends scale, so that's new, and he's looking pretty good. Trailbreaker, there's a Magic Square, which looks good. Ironhide and Ratchet, we've already had mechfanstoys, and New Age is also coming out with a better version of those, I would say. They look like the Masterpiece, but scaled down. It's pretty amazing. Hound, there's a mechfanstoys Hound. There's an Iron Factory Hound coming, but of course, you know, it's got that stylized Iron Factory look. And Papa Toys, a new company, Papa Toys, is also working on a Hound. We haven't, we'll have to see if that comes to market, but they did show some prototype pictures. Mirage. Now, there isn't a good G1 representation of Mirage in Legend scale. We only have the Iron Factory, which is coming out soon, I think. Not yet. But it looks pretty good. It doesn't look too far off of the G1 design, so it could be a good stand-in. And Sunstreaker. Sunstreaker would be the first and I think only one that we're missing, actually, from the 1984 lineup. Oh, there is an Iron Factory one, though, isn't there? Yeah, there is that Iron Factory guy, which is close enough, I suppose. I don't think it's a really good Sunstreaker. It's more like a Sideswipe repaint, but it is there. But I would say those are the only two that we're really missing from the 84 line right now. Jazz, New Age has a beautiful looking Jazz. Again, New Age is very tiny, but really good. Same with Sideswipe. Sideswipe is Magic Square and mechfanstoys. Both have a Sideswipe, so you've got two options for him. Blue Streak and Prowl I'll put together because they're a similar mold. So we have a Magic Square version, which is incredible. I love the Magic Square Prowl, and I will be getting the Barricade repaint. And of course, there was no G1 Barricade, but Guido Guidi himself has done a wonderful piece of artwork to sort of imagine what Barricade would look like in a G1 at least Marvel Comics style, and it looks amazing. And the New Age repaint of Prowl with Smokescreen's head appears to be based on that, as far as I can tell, and it looks fantastic. So I'm going to have to pick that one up. They're also doing that in the Siege line, by the way. Hasbro's doing a Siege version of that. And then there's Iron Trans, another new third-party company coming in to do doing the three Datsun brothers. So they're doing a Prowl, Blue Streak, and Smokescreen. Smokescreen being an 85 Autobot, so we're not going to talk too much about him. But I'm not as keen on these ones because they've got this, mostly because they have this weird ball joint for the doors, which doesn't make the alt mode look very good, and also they don't have any side windows either. So I prefer the New Age ones to that. And finally, of course, Optimus Prime. There's two options in Legend scale for Prime. There is a DX9 Dutch, and there is the Magic Square, what's it called? Commander, Civil Warrior Commander, General Commander, which I think looks like the better option. Personally, Dutch would be more cartoon accurate, I suppose, but I do not like the truck mode. Personally, I would go with the Magic Square. So there's our 84 Autobots covered. Now on to the 84 Decepticons. Now, of course, there's no cassettes except for... actually, there are some cassettes, I should say. There's Laserbeak and Ravage that come with the Soundwave. So skipping over to Soundwave, we've got two options. There is the Hot Soldier Soundwave, and there is a Magic Square Soundwave.
I have the Hot Soldiers one, and I really like it. I think it's probably the best. It's not the best articulated, but it is the best looking, I think. And by the way, if I haven't mentioned this before, it gets a bit confusing with the names. I find that okay, so there's Mech Planet Hot Soldiers. Now I don't know how to identify those. Is Hot Soldiers the line made by Mech Planet, the company? I'm not sure. They also seem to be the same company as mechfanstoys, but I couldn't say for sure because I've seen them listed as Mech Planet, Hot Soldiers, mechfanstoys. I may be using those terms interchangeably. I'm not sure if that's correct or not, but anyway, they do have a sound wave. Now, for our original 3 Seekers, DX9 did a really nice version of those. The DX9 Warren Pocket Stormtroopers, I think they were called. Really nice 3-pack of those. They have been upscaled to. No, I just learned this recently. I guess there's the Legends scale and there's Legends Plus. Going by Bots and Bits, another great channel. Bots and Bits is where I picked up that term from. So yeah, if they've upscaled the Legends, I guess they're called Legends Plus. That's as good a term as any. And then mechfanstoys has done a slightly oversized version of those as well. All 6 of them, I believe, and also they added some new characters like Bitstream and Sunstorm, Acid Storm. But we're just looking at these 3 for now, and I think those are great. Those are great G1 representations of Starscream, Thundercracker, and Skywarp. Sorry to go off on a bit of a tangent here, but I just happened to get in the mail the other 3 the other 3 jets, the DX9 cone heads, and just look at this package. So there's little window boxes, right, where you're supposed to be able to see the jets inside, but you can see that they're upside down. And then when I opened it up, there's 2 top halves to this clamshell. Somebody was drunk at the factory when they were packing this one. I just thought that was funny. Now, Megatron, DX9, I believe, was the first one to do a Megatron when they brought out Mitron, and then mechfanstoys came out with a slightly oversized version where they tweaked the proportions and did they added a nicer head, which I think is just right off of the Masterpiece version, and a bunch of accessories. It's a nice looking figure, it really is. And there might be other ones that I'm forgetting. There was a lot of Megatrons coming out around the same time, but that might be the only 2 Legends. But as far as I'm concerned, ever since New Age showed their prototype Megatron in this scale, that's the only one we need to talk about. Look at this Megatron. This is amazing for that size. It really looks like a mini masterpiece. And I know I'm going on like a broken record with that term, but holy cow, I'm really impressed with that. I probably will have to get that. So that covers our 1984 Decepticons. Well, I was originally going to go into the 1985 line as well, but this video is getting kind of long at this point, so I'm going to wrap it up here. But yeah, we didn't even get into the Legend Scale Blaster that's available for Magic Square. There's a Sea Spray, there's a Grapple, and Inferno. Between DX9 and Magic Square, we've even got most of the movie characters covered by now, and there's just more coming all the time. There's an Ultra Magnus. You can get 2 different small sizes of Omega Supreme. There's even combiners. DX9 did a Hulky, which was their Devastator, and Magic Square is doing the Stunticons, which are going to combine into Menasor. It's amazing. So if you are a Legends collector, it's a good time. And what I just wanted to show you guys was how much coverage there is in the range of characters that are available, and the quality is getting so much better. And as I say, because of space constraints that a lot of people might have, if you live in an apartment, you probably don't have a lot of room to display a big collection. Even for myself, now that I finally moved into a house, I still don't have room for all the characters. So I'm really tempted to go with Legends, especially for characters that aren't my favorites, So what I'm kind of planning to do now is just to do the 1984, maybe 85 guys in Masterpiece, and then for everything else, I'm hoping to find a Legends scale version of it and just not take up all the shelf space. And I think it's not a topic that gets a lot of attention, the Legend scale. So there you have it. That's it for now. I may do more of these if anyone's interested. Maybe I will cover the 1985 line. And I'd be very interested to get your feedback. So please leave some comments if you're interested in this sort of thing, if you're interested in this scale or not. By the way, I don't usually like to ask for liking and subscribing and that sort of thing, but this video actually did take quite a bit of work, so it'd mean a lot to me if you did click that like button, just because, yeah, when I took this on, I actually didn't realize how much was out there. There's a lot of options, and there's a lot of images to edit together, so this was one of
one of my more labor-intensive videos. But I really do hope that you guys enjoyed watching it. That's the main thing for me. So, as always, thank you very much for watching.